What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Jim Drinks. Today I want to talk about my favorite whiskeys of 2025. Now, these aren't in any particular order. Also, just keep in mind, this is favorites, right? This isn't like value whiskey, budget whiskeys you can find easily. These are just like the things out of my collection that I absolutely love. So let's dive right in. Starting with bottle number 1 is going to be the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Heritage Barrel Toasted Barrel. This has a lot of JD, SB, HB, TB. These are getting easier to find, which I'm really excited to see. These are, I think, in my opinion, like some of the best stuff that Jack has put out this year. Now, their single barrel selects, the rye, the bourbon. I think usually when you find those, they're going to be pretty damn delicious as well. But that toasted barrel, God, it's just got something extra to it. So I'm not a Jack Daniel's like flavored whiskey fan. All that honey stuff, the winter wheat or what's winter warmer, I think is the one they just came out with. No thanks, none of that's for me. If that's your jam, hey, you know what? I like to flavor my own whiskeys with my own choice of flavorings. Anyhow, the toasted barrel doesn't do that. The toasted barrel delivers a ton of flavor just all on its own, just by the way of using a different char level on Jack Daniel's barrels when they put the whiskey in. Right now we're filling our glass with, I'm holding the bottle up to my mouth like the mic instead of the mic. Very nice. Love the nose on this. Got toasted oak, brown sugar, that banana bread note is definitely still there, and some baking spices. Let's go in for the palate. Right up front you get that rich caramel, more banana, some vanilla, and then there's a char at the end of the palate there. The finish is decently long. There's definitely a scorched marshmallow note. It's got that oiliness. There's a nice sweetness on the finish. That's kind of the longest lasting part of the finish for me. And I dig it. My first of my favorite picks of 2025, once again, I present to you the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Heritage Barrel Toasted Barrel TW. Delicious. This is a new entry, but I'm adding it into the mix here because I didn't have a rye. I realized I didn't have a rye in this showcase of my favorites. And I've got to have a rye. I'm a rye guy. I love rye whiskeys. If I was just, I could do a favorite ryes of 2025 list all on its own, but I'm not going to do that. My first favorite rye will, as far as I'm aware, always be the Willet 4-year Family Estate rye. So if you're into ryes and you haven't had the Willet 4-year yet, this is my little, my bonus rye for today for this list. It's the Willet 4-year Family Estate. That's probably just that's probably on a list of my all-time favorites, if I have to be totally honest with you. Anyways, that's not the one that I'm picking for this video. Right now, I'm going to go grab the High West, a Midwinter Night's Dram, limited engagement. This is their rendezvous rye that's then been finished for an additional length of time that I'm not sure of, actually, in port barrels. Put a little bit of port in a rye. You got a pretty good mix in my imagination. There we go. Moving on to the sample here. Let's go. Hey, not bad. Good looking color on this one. I didn't talk about color on the Jack Daniels. It's also got a nice color. None of these are bad color that I'm going to be talking about here today. Let me just go ahead and get that out of the way. None of the whiskeys that I'm talking about have a bad color. Once again, this is the Midwinter Night's Dram on the nose. Oh, baking spices, dark chocolate. Once again, I'm talking into the glass instead of the microphone. Excuse me. Baking spices, dark chocolate. God, it's nice. It's a dark fruit. Some form of a dark, like, purple-skinned, perhaps. What am I saying? It's grapes. It's grapes. Of course it's grapes. It's a lovely nose. It's a very sweet nose, but in a fruity way. It's really nice. Palate. I haven't had this one in a little while, too, so I'm excited about this one. It's fairly complex. It's really smooth. This is such a dessert whiskey. It's got a very nice mouthfeel as well. It's very silky, but not thick. This is not a thick whiskey. It's got a very soft mouthfeel. That's fantastic. Buttery smooth. Rye spice, honeyed fruit. Yeah, that mulled wine thing is definitely there. A little bit of cocoa. There's a little bit of a toasty note there at the end. That's delicious. Delicious. The finish on this is relatively long. It's less distinct flavors that I get that are lasting, and more just that kind of silky mouthfeel is lasting. These are relatively hard to find. These go about $150, I believe, maybe $130, somewhere in there. It's definitely a little bit of a different type of a rye. If you're not into the port barrel finish, I would absolutely encourage you to go check out High West's Rendezvous Rye. It is the base rye that they use for this, and it's also really stellar. This one for me hit some extra notes that I really appreciated. So there we go. That's that one. So darn good. So darn good. Next up on the list, the John J. Bowman Single Barrel. This bottle right here, I think, will stand up against some of the most heavy-hittingest powerhouses of the whiskey world from a Buffalo Trace standpoint. Interestingly enough, this is a triple distilled Virginia straight whiskey, but this begins life as Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 1. Once it's been distilled at Buffalo Trace, they ship that distillate to Virginia. And then in Virginia, at the Bowman Distillery, they then distill it an additional 2 times before aging in their charred oak barrels in Virginia. Lovely bottle, very much a sleeper in most circles. There's also like a cask strength that I think is very good. There's a Bowman. There's different sort of beasts within the Bowman range that I think are true sleeper giants. This one's just the one that I came across this year and was lucky enough to be able to grab. I've had some of the other stuff, but I don't have those bottles, so this is the one for me. Yep. Bright caramel, vanilla, definitely a little bit of an apple hint in there. I think that's a thing I get really strong in Stag, actually, and it's definitely here. A little bit of a floral note that I like. This is 100% why this is on this list. This is just the quintessential bourbon, in my opinion. Cheers to Barrel Hunters and use of the word quintessential. I believe they have the copyright on that. I'm going to claim ignorance and just borrow that for this video. Finish on this is quite smooth, a little bit of heat at the back of the palate that then just like evaporates into a sweet oak, vanilla, some baking spice. It's pretty damn smooth. $65 for this? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on. Come on. You telling me you can spend twice as much money and get half as good whiskey as this? That's asinine. This bourbon hits all the spots. If you're a bourbon fan and you have not had any of the Bowman products, I very much encourage you to go have some. That's it for the John J. Bowman. Moving on. We're going to move next into the Sonora. Garrison Brothers Sonora. This is the Garrison Brothers Wheated Mash Bill. I didn't realize until doing research for this video that this was a wheated mash bill. It's not a high wheat. I think it's sub 20% wheat in their mash bill. And apparently this mash bill came from Buffalo Trace fella himself, handed directly to Dan Garrison years ago when he was starting Garrison Brothers. So obviously that's like the recipe for the mash bill, right? That's not the actual grains. The grain profile is 100% Texas grown. It's good stuff. I really enjoy the Sonora. Got a little dram of Garrison Brothers Sonora here ready to drink. I got to tell you a quick little story that Dan told me when I was talking to him about the Sonora. This is when he signed my bottle, tasting at the 12 Days of Whiskey at the Austin Shaker. He told me that a group of female employees at Garrison Brothers, lovingly cornered him at one of the many drinking spots on property and said to him, "Hey, Dan, you got your cowboy bourbon. Where's your cowgirl bourbon? Where's your cowgirl bourbon?" That's the way you enunciate those words. To which he replied, you've got a great point. He suggested to them, it's a great idea, put something together, set up a tasting. Let's try some things out. And so they did. And we have Garrison Brothers Sonora. So women of Garrison Brothers, thank you for creating one of my favorite whiskeys of the year. It's truly spectacular. Thank you so much. On the nose. Got dark cinnamon. I think it was trying to combine caramel and cinnamon is what I think I was trying to do. We have dark caramel, cinnamon. There's definitely an oaky note in there. It's a woodsy whiskey for sure. There's some dried fruit, I think. Let's go for a sip. That is warm without being hot, oily. It is relatively thick. We're getting thick. I approve of a thick whiskey. There's a really rich brown sugar. There's dried fruit, baking spices, leathery dark chocolate. And it's aged leather. This is country leather that's been covered in chocolate. It's delicious. Anyways, it's a very good palate. I enjoy this one very much. Finish is also quite nice. It's quite long. There's an oaky note. There's almost a rye dryness that I appreciate because I do like that about ryes. Ryes are a little bit of a drier dram. Typically, this one has some of those elements, despite just being finished in rye barrels. Am I moving around too damn much? This is how I move naturally when I'm telling a story. Excuse me, when I'm vomiting all over the microphone. That's also what happens. Having fun, folks. We're having a good time here. It's got a decadence to it, for sure. For sure, it's got a decadence. There's Dan's stuff on the back there. You probably can't read that. He calls me an American badass. Super nice dude. Stay hydrated, y'all. All right, so now it's time to reveal my number one top bottle of whiskey, my favorite whiskey of 2025. You ready? You ready? Can you guess which one it is? If you said it's the Starhill Farm Wheated Whiskey, you're correct. My whiskey of the year. Absolutely. The Starhill Farms Wheated Whiskey from Maker's Mark. Gosh, this is a banger. It's so nice. This is such an elevated whiskey. This whiskey is why I wear this fancy shirt when I'm drinking whiskey on camera. When I'm drinking whiskey not on camera, I wear a t-shirt. This is Maker's Mark flexing on the rest of the whiskey industry, saying, look what we can do with fully estate-grown grains. 51% soft red winter wheat, 27% malted soft red winter wheat, and then 22% malted barley for, in my opinion, one of the most spectacular combinations of distilled grain ever to be inside of a bottle, in my hand, in my life. I love this whiskey, very much so. Just a delightful nose of caramel, dried fruit, gingerbread. There's a spicy note on the back end of the nose that I really think is quite nice. Let's move into the taste. It's toffee, warm apple pie, a little bit of a Jolly Rancher element to it. Almost a fruity tea with honey. Delicious. Delicious? Absolutely delicious. Folks, this does not drink like 114.7 proof. This drinks more like right around 100 proof. I don't know what magic that is. Maybe it's the malted barley and the malted wheat. There's a lot of malted grain in this glass. My suspicion is that malt does a lot to sort of soften edges on a whiskey. So anyhow, on the finish, it's a long finish. Then there's a lingering kind of spice, maybe cinnamon spice, and a little bit of a chocolatey element that lingers around for a little bit longer than that. This is the closest to a 10 out of 10 whiskey I've ever had. The nose is phenomenal. The palate is excellent. Finish is long and decadent. Such a good whiskey. 100% the Star Hill Farms Wheated Whiskey is my 2025 Whiskey of the Year. This is Jim Drinks saying, cheers, Happy New Year, drink fancy bourbon or whiskey. Just drink fancy whiskey. It doesn't have to be bourbon. I'm not picky. This concludes my favorite Whiskeys of the Year video. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you in 2026. Take care. Bye-bye.